A radio operator in New Mexico intercepts a mysterious signal and contacts a colleague who confirms strange bursts detected by his own instrument. Tracing the signal's origin to Roswell, the operator drives there to investigate. Although the signal is strongest at a specific location, he finds nothing. Suddenly, his dog reacts aggressively to something invisible. As the man follows her lead, he is engulfed by a blinding white light and vanishes without a trace. In 2003, at a remote research center in Antarctica, scientists discover a mysterious object buried several meters beneath the permafrost. With no clue what it is or how to handle it, they decide to reach out to NASA for assistance. At the University of California, Professor Julian Rahm gives a lecture on cryptology, highlighting the emotional and communicative power of language, and pointing out that animals often communicate without speech. During the talk, a student flirts with him openly. Afterward, Julian is called in by the university's chancellor, the acclaimed scientist Beckham. Expecting a reprimand about the student, Julian is instead informed of a strange object found beneath the Antarctic ice, recently detected by a NASA satellite. The object is around 6 meters long and 3 meters wide, and it's emitting a radio signal. A spectrogram of the signal is handed to Julian, the university's top cryptography expert. Julian analyzes the signal and determines it's a highly potent transmission coming from a compact source. Its pulsing nature indicates it's encoded, resembling a beacon, but far more advanced than any current human-made technology. At the same time, a lab in the Falkland Islands also intercepts the signal and relays it to the US. Julian is promptly sent to the Antarctic station. During a tense flight through an intense storm, he grows concerned about the crew's competence, especially when they confess they can't see through the blizzard. Despite the weather, the plane lands safely. Julian is greeted underground at the research base by Nayla Olson, who's surprised by his arrival during the off-season. She explains they are 20 meters below the surface, and the station includes both a genetic lab and plant cultivation chambers. Though she tries to show him to the personnel area, Julian insists on seeing the object first. His old colleague, Dr. Alexei Garha, welcomes him and takes him to the site, where the object remains trapped in ice. Despite cooling efforts, the ice is melting rapidly. Julian suspects the discovered technology is far beyond anything humanity currently has. When Alexei is called away, Julian is left alone with the object. Compelled by curiosity, he touches the icy surface and is overwhelmed by visions from his own life. A strong, static jolt courses through his hand before he can fully process what's happening. Just then, biologist Kate Breer, his ex, interrupts. Their past tension is clear, and Kate keeps her distance. She leads Julian to his room, cautioning him not to upset the dynamic among the female team members. Julian brushes it off, but as he lies down, his hand tingles strangely, and he's haunted by intense, cryptic dreams. Disturbed by the dream, Julian returns to the object. In the corridor, he notices wet footprints and follows them, sensing an eerie presence. Suddenly, vivid images of Earth from orbit and alien beings invade his mind. He screams and jolts awake. Later, Nayla invites him to breakfast, then escorts him to the greenhouse where genetically engineered crops are cultivated. She strips down for a full-body decontamination before entering. Inside, Kate and geneticist Michael Straw are already working. Julian instantly feels a pang of jealousy at how close Michael seems to Kate. Kate quickly reminds Julian to focus, emphasizing the importance of their mission. The US government has heavily funded this project as part of its plan for space colonization, with genetics playing a key role. Meanwhile, high-level discussions in government reveal Julian's history. Once a top alien investigator under NASA, he had to return to academia when the program lost funding. Now, fate has brought him, Kate, and Alexei back together at the same Antarctic base. As Julian decodes the signal, he meets Graham, the communication specialist who first detected it. They consider the possibility of alien origins, though Julian remains doubtful. Later, during lunch with the team, Alexei introduces Julian to the rest of the crew, including temporary pilots stranded by worsening weather. Julian handles Michael's hostility with sharp comebacks, gaining respect. The group visits the ice block, which continues to melt rapidly. Julian proposes installing an antenna to collect the signal more precisely for decoding. After the test, he theorizes the beginning of the signal might be a warning. At NASA, analysts compare this new transmission to the one captured in New Mexico in 1947. The patterns in the signal perfectly match those from a past incident, prompting the director to assign Julian to the case and summon his supervisor, Dr. Beckham, to headquarters. Meanwhile, chaos erupts at the Antarctic station when the ice block suddenly cracks and collapses. The team rushes to investigate and uncovers a strange object resembling a massive, prehistoric oyster emitting powerful electrical charges. It's clearly not a meteorite, Those don't broadcast radio signals. This looks more like a spacecraft's black box, stranded on Earth and transmitting a distress call for years. Julian attempts to explain the nature of the artifact, but skepticism spreads through the group. One scientist notes a crack in the object and suggests opening it. Kate warns about possible alien viruses, but Michael insists their lab's containment systems can handle it. At the White House, Beckham is briefed on the situation. Kate voices deeper fear, warning that humanity could be as primitive as Neanderthals compared to the technology they're meddling with, though she also admits the potential for valuable discoveries. The team starts preparing to open the capsule-like structure. Beckham, hearing that the signal has reactivated, theorizes about the dangers of tampering with alien tech. He's told that a Soviet nuclear submarine is already en route to Antarctica. Back at the station, Alexei examines a piece of the broken material and confirms it's not stone. It resembles a carbon-based alloy. Julian explains to Neela that the computer is decoding the signal mathematically. She compares the process to solving a puzzle with a missing key, which inspires Julian and leads to a breakthrough. The message is a warning. Do not open the object. Julian races to the hangar, but arrives too late. The scientists have already breached the capsule. A thick alien fluid gushes out, instantly killing one crew member on contact. Moments later, an explosion cuts off the station's power. The remaining crew regroups, confirming only one casualty. Julian and Kate, armed with flashlights, investigate the capsule and spot an alien form inside. Soon after, a woman becomes violently ill and dies, followed by others, suggesting a deadly virus has been unleashed. At the White House, the Russian submarine commander confirms that the vessel is ready to launch multiple warheads at the station to neutralize any threat. Back in Antarctica, the survivors observe the alien through cameras and deduce that the virus attacks from within. They send a distress call, but the storm likely blocks its transmission. Facing the grim possibility that they are also infected, the group realizes evacuation may no longer be an option. Still, they cling to a shred of hope. Some may be immune, since not everyone dies immediately. Julian recommends shutting down the plantations to fully secure the hangar, but Michael firmly rejects the plan. As the group argues, the alien suddenly disappears. Julian takes the lead, instructing everyone to find weapons, cut power to the plantations, and turn on the emergency lights in the auxiliary sections. The team reacts differently. Michael descends into panic, while Alexei urges them to consider not what they'll do if they find the alien, but what the alien might do to them. Julian eventually locates the alien hiding behind a crate and tries to coax it out peacefully, assuring it he means no harm. The alien steps into view and communicates telepathically with Julian, sharing the story of its arrival on Earth. Before more can be revealed, the rest of the group spots them. One man, overwhelmed by fear, opens fire and kills the alien, which disintegrates. Julian says he felt the alien's fear. They finally re-establish contact with the mainland and report that only 7 crew members are still alive and appear uninfected. Beckham then discloses that the object is a survival capsule, like the one that crashed in Roswell. That earlier capsule sent out a distress signal, and scientists found that the aliens carried a virus powerful enough to destroy life in the solar system. Though the aliens were unaware of the virus, it had already wiped out life on Mars. On Earth, they had chosen not to leave their ship to avoid spreading it, even though they wanted to communicate. The only remaining option now is to sterilize the entire station. Beckham informs Julian that a submarine is already on its way. Michael panics and demands to leave Antarctica, but the others understand the catastrophic risk. Julian proposes blood tests for everyone to detect signs of infection. As the submarine nears its firing range, the crew still assumes it's a drill. At the station, test results show their cells look healthy, but the threat of an invisible virus still looms. Tensions flare. Michael insists on escape, while Julian warns of the danger. A fight breaks out and a pilot supporting Michael is disarmed. Julian and Kate recode the entry locks. Meanwhile, the submarine crew receives final orders to launch. With only minutes left, Michael and the pilot secretly plan their escape through a hidden exit. Armed with improvised weapons, they overpower their guard, injure Alexei and Kate, kill several others, and flee. Kate reveals another exit through the plantations, prompting Julian to pursue the escapees. Meanwhile, the submarine reaches optimal depth and launches its missiles. As Michael and the pilot run through the plantations, they notice the plants withering, proving the virus is fatal even to them. The pilot refuses to go further, so Michael kills him and keeps running, with Julian in close pursuit. Michael emerges through the technical passages and opens a door to a blinding cocoon of light. Julian follows, struggling to breathe at first but quickly learning to adapt, unlike Michael, who panics and suffocates. Julian then reconnects telepathically with the aliens as the submarine's missile countdown nears its final minutes. He hurries back to the others and convinces them to follow him into the light, teaching them how to breathe. Just before the missile hits, Julian, Shelley, Kate, and Alexei escape aboard an alien spacecraft. The station is destroyed in a nuclear blast. Later, the government covers up the incident, blaming an experimental reactor meltdown and declaring all personnel dead. Meanwhile, the alien ship carrying the survivors exits the solar system. While the film leans heavily on familiar alien tropes and lacks daring execution, the cast's strong performances elevate it into a passable sci-fi thriller.